routing scenario for a layer 3 switch. If VLANs are to be reachable by other layer 3 devices, then they must be advertised using static or dynamic routing. To enable routing on a layer 3 switch, a routed port must be configured. A routed port is created on a layer 3 switch by disabling the switch port feature on a layer 2 port that is connected to a layer 3 device. Specifically, configuring the no switch port interface configuration command on a layer 2 port converts it into a layer 3 interface. Then the interface can be configured with an IPv4 configuration to connect to a router. Alright, so let's have a routing scenario on a layer 3 switch. Okay, so in the figure, okay, in this given topology, the previously configured D1 layer 3 switch is now connected to R1. Okay, so R1 and D1 are both in an OSPF or Open Shortest Path First routing protocol domain. Okay, now assume inter-VLAN has been successfully implemented on D1. Okay, so because this is the same topology that we used on the multi-layer switch inter-VLAN demo. Okay, so the interface or the LAN interface of R1 has also been configured and enabled. So additionally, R1 is using an OSPF to advertise its networks, which are the 10.10.10.0 and 10.10.20.0/24 networks respectively. Okay, so let's check first if we have the inter-VLAN connectivity between this PC1 and PC3 here, since this is the same topology used on the demonstration of a multi-layer 3 switch. Okay, doing the inter-VLAN. Alright, so what we're going to do here is, first, we need to configure a routed port. Okay, so the no switch port command to convert the port to a routed port. Then we are going to assign an IP address. Okay, and then enable the port. So that is, let's click here. Okay, so let's have here. Okay, so alright, so enable, configure terminal. So let me have this one here is interface G01. And okay, so let's do it. So interface G0/1. Okay, so IP. Now let's have the description first. Description. Okay, so something like, let's say, routed port. Okay, routed port link to R1. Okay, that is optional. All right, so the next thing is no switch port, because we want to convert this interface into the routed port so that we can assign an IP address 10.10, okay, .10.2, okay, 255.255.255.0. All right, and then no shutdown. Okay, so the next thing is we need to enable routing on this multi-layer switch. Okay, and we already did that. Okay, so let's check it out. Do show run. Okay, so you've got IP routing there. Okay, so enable routing, we use the IP routing global configuration command to enable routing. So if you are not yet done with enabling this IP routing, you could do so. All right, so the next thing is we need to configure routing. Okay, so on this layer 3 switch, let's have the router OSPF 10. Okay, say you've got network, directly connected networks to the switch or multi-layer switch, which are 10.10.10.0. Okay, /24, that would be 0.0.0.255 area 0. Okay, so another two directly connected networks would be the VLAN network here. So which are net 172.16.10.0, 0.0.0.255, area 0. Next would be net 172.16.20.0, 0.0.0.255, area 0. Okay, so these are the directly connected networks to the multi-layer switch. So let's see that. Show IP route. Let's check the routing table. So you've got directly connected networks there. Okay, so the next thing to do is let's configure also routing on R1. So let's move on to R1. Let's do some configuration here. So no. Okay, so enable, configure terminal, host name, say this is my R1 here. Okay, and let me configure the IP addresses. Check the interfaces, G00 and then G01 there. Okay, so let's start with interface G0/0. So IP address, this is 10.10.10.1, 255.255.255.0, and then no shutdown. All right. Also on G0/1, so this interface here, that would be having an IP address of 10.10.20. Say 254, that would become the default gateway of the server. So 255.255.255.0, and then no shutdown. All right. So R1 is connected to a multi-layer tree switch, and we also need to configure routing here so that these VLAN clients here would be able to reach the server. So to do that, let's do the routing on R1. So that would be router OSPF 10. Okay, we use 10 on a multi-layer tree switch. Okay, network directly connected are 10.10.10.0, 0.0.0.255. Say this is on area 0. Network, another directly connected network would be 10.10.20.0, 0.0.0.255, area 0. Okay, so we have now here an adjacency. So if you will observe earlier on, when we type in show IP route on D1, okay, it only displays the directly connected networks. So now that we have an adjacency, let's do that again. Show IP route. Okay. So we have now an additional network there, but then we cannot see yet this remote network here. So let us first configure this one here so that we can have that network advertised to the multi-layers switch. Okay, so my server would be using 10.10.20.1. Subnet mask would be, of course, /24. So that would be 255.255.255.0. My default gateway would be 10.10.20.254, the last usable IP, and was configured on R1. Okay, so are we done with this? 20.1. Let's check this. This is interface G01. So interface G0/1. Okay, so we already have an IP address to this, and no shutdown. So we failed to enable the interface. All right, so it's already up. Let's have, okay, fast forward time. Let's check. We should have here an access to the remote network. Okay, show IP route. We have 10.10.20.0 there. So that means these 4 clients here from VLAN 10 and VLAN 20 should be able to reach the server. Okay, so let's check also on R1. We should have a routing table entry coming from this 2 VLAN 10 and VLAN 20 here respectively. So let's check that. So this would be do show VLAN Where's that? No, that's an R1. So this would be do show IP route. All right, and in here, if you will observe, we have two O's, which are the VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. All right, so that means, can we now ping? Okay, so from PC1 to the server, we are expecting it would be successful. All right, so same thing, PC2, okay, to the server, PC3 from VLAN 20 to the server, okay, and PC4 from VLAN 20 to the server. So these are all successful. All right, so you could also do the traditional ping. Now you could go ahead here. Okay, in reality, this is what we're doing. Okay, so something like, let us ping the server, which is at 10.10.20.1. So you'll have that. Okay, so also from PC2, we could ping the server. Ping, that's 172. No, the server is located on 10.10.20.1. So you've got successful. Okay, so also let's do it on PC3. All right, so ping 10.10.20.1. Okay, and on PC4, ping 10.10.20.1. All right, so that would be our routing configuration on a layer 3. Okay, having a routing scenario, okay, with an OSPF.